Grand Rising. I think I know someone who needs to hear this. It's definitely you. Before I get started, I want to say a prayer. Father, I come to you today humbly, and I give thanks for another day. I give thanks for awakening me from my slumber, and I give thanks for the life that I live. I give thanks for the beautiful life that I live. Father, I ask that you continue to use me, continue to move through me, and allow your will to be done. Please help me to convey this message as proper and pristine as I possibly can be. And to those that are watching through the screen, to all of my viewers on the other side, I send them blessings, peace, and love for the end of their days, till the end of their days. Ashe. Welcome. I really feel like I'm just getting back to myself, but another part of me feels like I'm just now meeting myself. Because even as I sit here and I look, I'm like, who is she? Like, I've never met this side of myself before. I've never had the liberty to be this much of myself before, because for years I have been running. I have been running from a reality of who I am. I have been running from a reality of the fact that I just don't fit in. And it's by divine design that I don't fit in. It's not something that I should have ever ran from. So I say that because it is so important, and I want to relay this message. It's so important for women to spend time alone. I used to run from solitude. I used to run from isolation, even if that was at the expense of me being around people who would convolute God's message to me or pollute my aura. Because I didn't want to be alone, I would sacrifice myself to just simply be in the presence of somebody. Because from a very young age, I was shamed for who I was, and I was silenced for the way that I convey messages. Ever since I was a child, I've always been blatantly blunt, and I don't think that God made me that way by accident. It is by design. And I can remember as a young girl, my grandmother used to always tell me, Anna, grandmother called me Anna, God rest her soul. Anna, tell it like it is. That's the one thing that she said to me that I have carried with me my entire life. And there has been other things that she said to me that I've carried, but that's the one thing that's just stuck out in my mind is Anna, tell it like it is. So follow me. Alone time for a woman, and I am getting emotional already because I can literally feel the Holy Spirit moving through me. Alone time for a woman is so important because it is the only way you can process the trauma that you've been through. It is the only way that you can take the time to calm yourself, calm your nervous system, allow everything to permeate, allow the residual to leave, and then process. And the processing time, forgive me, I am getting so emotional, it's crazy. The processing time is unwarranted. You don't know if you're going to be okay in 5 minutes. You don't know if you're going to be okay in 5 days, 5 weeks, or is it going to take 5 years or 5 decades? The most imperative thing for a woman to do is to process so you can proceed. If you never process, you will never proceed. And unfortunately, the things that happen to us as women in our lives happen so fast and rampant that a lot of times we just don't have the time to process. And then here comes babies. And then here comes a death in the family. And then here comes the loss of a friend. And before you realize it, you haven't even processed what just happened to you and something else has happened to you. Most recently, my mother fell ill out of nowhere. I went home to settle a karmic debt. I went home to clear a pathway. And within the week that I cleared that pathway with my biological parents, my mother and my father, my mother fell ill. An illness that is unforeseen, an illness that is a 1%, an illness that I know in my heart this is nothing but God, because she's still alive and she's getting better. And in my mother falling ill, I saw the craziest SHIT in my family that I have yet to see. I was slandered. I was mistreated. I was shunned. I was shut out. All while my mother was sick, to the point where I had to take a step back and ask myself, like, whose mom is actually sick? Who's the one that's actually going through something? And I had to realize that at a certain point, you can't ignore jealousy. And it made me realize that people are so jealous to a point that they even want your woes. I have tried to ignore this for so long in my life, and that has made me oblivious to what is around me. I have dealt with a severe amount of jealousy, which has forced me to ignore the slander that has been done unto my name. But the one thing about God, He lets you know from the beginning, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. The one thing in a family, in people's lives, that can slander the whole picture is gossip. And that is the one thing that people have done in my life fervently, is gossip. Just gossip, gossip, gossip. But the funniest thing is, when I look back, no one brings the gossip to me. The only person that was ever bold enough to say something blatant to my face was my mother and my grandmother. And I respect them for that. Even though we all had our disagreements and our issues, I respect the fact that if somebody has something to say to me, I respect the fact that my mother, if she had something to say to me, she was going to say it. It wasn't until most recently where we had a situation where I had to, correct and say, stop falling for gossip, because people will bring gossip to your door. And if you're not aware of what is happening to you and what's going on with that situation, you'll fall into the gossip like a pit that's been dug for someone else. So I'm just getting back to myself, or I'm just meeting her at the same time you are, because I am so baffled how people will really slander your name. People will slander the hell out of your name and they won't care. And then when you shine a light on their stuff, they'll play coy and play dumb like nothing ever happened. But I'm here to let you know, whatever has been said about me from other people's mouths are simply a reflection of them. No longer are the days where I will accept disrespect. No longer are the days where I will accept slander. If you bring slander to my name or to my door, God willing, He will correct you. And I'm putting this on the record because I want to make it very clear. I have always been somewhat of a righteous woman. And I say somewhat because I've had trouble finding my way. It happens to everyone. But my intent has always been that of a righteous woman. I've never intentionally wished harm onto anyone because I don't want that for anyone in humanity. I am a giver. Now I'm in receive mode. And as I've allowed myself to be in receive mode, what have I started to receive? Blessings, downloads, information, confirmation. Give yourself a moment to settle, to sit, to sulk, so you can receive the blessings of God. Don't ever let anyone tell you who you are, who you came to be, what you can do and what you cannot do, because they are not your father. You have one Father, and that's in heaven. And I stand on that. I respect my earthly parents. I respect my generational bloodline. I respect people for exactly who they are. So if you want to be respected, Be exactly who you want to be respected for. If you don't want to be known as a liar, don't lie. If you don't want to be known as a conniver, stop conniving. If you don't want to be known as a victim, leave behind the victim mentality. And by me doing this right now, this is me forfeiting a victim mentality to say, yes, I have mistakes in my book. I wouldn't be human if I didn't. Show me a human who doesn't have mistakes. Show me a human who never has sinned. Ye that is without sin, cast the first stone. One of my favorite quotes in the Bible. Favorite verses in the Bible. Because people love to cast stones without recognizing the speck of dust in their own eye. And it'll be family. It'll be your closest friends. It'll be acquaintances. But what I had to realize in this season when my mother was sick and no one in my family wanted to support me as in I needed love, I needed care, I needed a certain level of support because this was a traumatizing thing that happened to me. And I've already gone through enough trauma. But instead they decided to throw more SHIT on top of more SHIT. More confusion, more confusion, more confusion. I recognized that something was changing and shifting in my life when God sent strangers. Yeah. God sent strangers to help me, to assist me in turning everything around. Because the thing is, I had all my ducks in a row. But there is no king without a kingdom. You can't lift yourself up on top of rubble. And I had to walk away from rubble because people were trying to slander my name. And that has been done to me my whole life. When I went home, particularly one of my cousins, had a conversation with her, and I remember her saying, yeah, I remember from childhood, I always heard that you were difficult. And that made me realize, like, wow, my name has really been slandered since I was a child. And the fact of the matter and the reality is about the situation, none of you know me. So people will believe all of what they hear, none of what they see. They see, but they don't want to believe. They hear, and they want to believe what their own mind brings together. But touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. I'm walking in my power. I'm standing in my strength, and I'm not backing down from nothing. If you want to get to me, you got to go through my Father in heaven, because I'm here to stay. And there's nothing that anyone can say. So I had to unload. I had to unpack. I'm thankful for all of you all, for tuning in today. And to all of my women, my divine feminines out there, do not be afraid to step away, take a step back. Leave it all in the past. Let it go. Life is so full that I promise you, if you let everything go, a year from now, 2 years from now, you have a whole nother life. And you'll be like, wow, what was I hanging on to that stuff for? Somebody cue Miss Badu. All right. Have a wonderful day. Till we meet again, come back and see me.